first, I need to ask you about your shirt. You normally wear football shirts. The folks at Classic Football Shirts give them to you. What club shirt is this?
So this is a town in Wales, in Anglesey.
Anglesey, yes.
Which is actually the longest name for a town in the whole world. As you can see, it's a very, 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 very long name with a lot of letters.
Now, among my many skills is most definitely not pronouncing Welsh town names. And I'm guessing yours too, despite your family being half Welsh.
Yeah.
So, what is the team?
This is the name of the town.
Okay.
FC, obviously, because it's a football club.
Yeah, so for those who are listening to the podcast, but Jules actually had to get his phone to play the name because he cannot read or pronounce it correctly.
Anybody can. No, I mean, no, I know people who live there can, surely.
I am sure Welsh speakers out there, please feel free to correct Jules' phone and tell us about it. Anyway, let's get into football because, all right, this is on the back of a column. I love to plug my columns.
Of course, promote your own work.
No, but it's the 30th anniversary of Premier League, right? You and I have both lived here together, combined for many, many years. Yeah. We love the Premier League. Like, we can be critical at times, but I think it's fair to say, like, it's pretty amazing. It may well be the most successful sports league, you know, not just football league, globally in the world, right? Much as I love the NFL, by the way, Eagles 3-0, there's no real comparison in terms of reach and whatever. Now, what gets me, and this is the point I make in my column, is I ask myself, you know, what are the reasons why it's so successful? And there's very many. We'll get into the more granular. But here at the top, I want to talk about two reasons. Conventional wisdom say you need to have a successful, popular league. And I'm thinking, they really don't matter to the Premier League. And I'll tell you what they are.
Yeah.
One is, you need to have superstars. It's got to be a superstar-driven league, like the NBA or whatever. I would argue that if we're talking about global megastars, they really haven't been a part of the Premier League success.
Or they've lost them.
They've lost them. They lost Cristiano in the prime. You know, I went through this. I went through, looked at the last, as you know, my thoughts on the Ballon d'Or, right?
Yeah.
The Ballon d'Or is the ultimate football popularity contest.
Yeah.
Right? It's a measure. It's as good a measure of superstardom as you're going to get. And I looked at who finished in the top 5 over the last 20 years, every edition, right? Yeah. So it was 100 players. I don't have the column in front of me, so I don't remember the exact number.
I think I do remember. 17?
I believe it is 17. That's right. Yeah. It was Cristiano twice, Thierry Henry 3 times, and then it's 12 other dudes doing it just once. Look, I'm not saying Mohamed Salah isn't a superstar, and obviously Erling Haaland, he just arrived. But in terms of global popularity and reach, and that is something that I think the Ballon d'Or is very good at measuring, that hasn't been part of the story.
No, and maybe there's other leagues, especially Spain, really.
La Liga, obviously.
La Liga, who focused on those superstardom, and they had obviously for many years the two biggest ones in Cristiano and Messi. And maybe the Premier League, because of all the money, can go more in terms of quantity than just the quality of one superstar and then some really good players, but instead have some almost superstars, but who are still better than your average kind of star. I don't know.
I think it's also the market. They market the brands more so, right? So the star is, and it's a cliche, nobody's bigger than him, but the star is Manchester United. David Beckham can leave, Cristiano can leave. And this idea that there's a big mass of sort of floating fans who follow superstars around the way they might do, again, in the NBA, I don't think applies to the Premier League in the same way. The other thing, which is something I brought up many, many times, is this idea, but the Premier League is great because it's so competitive, it's so uncertain. It's not, so you don't have Bayern Munich winning it 10 years in a row, or Juve winning it 9 years in a row, or Paris Saint-Germain. And I say, it's true to a point, although City have won 4 of the last 5, and are probably strong favorites to win it again this year. But there's different ways to measure that. So if you look at, since 2005, which is when Everton finished 4th, only one English side outside of the Big 6 has finished in the top 4, and that's Leicester City when they won it. So basically, you've had 7 teams, just 7 teams finishing in the top 4 in the last 17 years. This does not compare well to France, Germany, Italy. They've all had more than that. I think one country at 14, the other 13, 12. So, I hate to break it to you, Aston Villa, Everton.
But isn't
like it's really, really, really hard to finish top 4.
But isn't the competitiveness as well from the whole league? So it's not so much who's going to finish top 4 and if someone can break into it, but it's that when you play the team that is bottom or the team that is 15th or 12th, it's still a great game. It's still a tight game. It's still a tough game. I mean, not every time I know because like Bournemouth lost 9-0.
Yeah.
But you see what I mean? Maybe more. And that's how we said with the 10th place in Ligue 1 or in Serie A or in La Liga, where do they compare with the 10th place team in the Premier League?
I don't know if that's what you need to look at. You need to look at not whether they're better or worse than the 10th team in the Premier League. Are there games against the number 1 in La Liga, like whoever's 10th in France? The game against Paris Saint-Germain, is it as competitive as Manchester City? And I think there's more to get into.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what we're going to do on the Gab and Juls podcast.
And for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for premium content and live streaming, subscribe to ESPN Plus.